My name is Emily Carter. I'm 32, and for 6 years, I've been the one who makes other people's homes look like magazine covers for a living. Last Thanksgiving, at my mother-in-law's dining table, in front of 11 relatives and a turkey I didn't even get to carve, she tapped her glass with a spoon and told the whole family I'd be hosting every single holiday from now on. Everyone. Forever. And when I opened my mouth to say something, she just smiled at me, warm as a church bulletin, and said, "You're the host now, sweetheart," like she was handing me a crown instead of a life sentence. Nobody ever asked if I wanted it. Nobody asked if my house could even hold 18 people. I found out I'd agreed to something I never agreed to, the same way you find out it's raining. Suddenly, and already soaked to the bone before you even see the clouds. That's not even the part that keeps me up at night. The part that keeps me up is what was sitting in my email inbox that same week, unopened. Because I hadn't found the right moment to tell anyone. 3 words in the subject line that could change where I live, what I do, and whether I ever host another holiday in that dining room again. I didn't say anything that night. I just smiled back at her, picked my fork back up, and let her believe she'd won, because I already knew something she didn't. Not yet. Welcome back to Secret Story Hub, where quiet women finally stop being quiet. If you've ever had your whole future decided for you at somebody else's dinner table, stay with me, because this one has an ending you're going to want to see for yourself. Drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. And subscribe, because I promise you, this story earns it. Let me back up a little so you understand exactly what that moment cost me, and exactly why I let her have it for one more night. My husband, Ryan, and I live in a 3-bedroom house outside Columbus, Ohio. The kind with a porch swing and a driveway that floods a little every spring. I run my own interior styling business out of the spare bedroom. The one Ryan keeps saying will turn into a nursery someday. I built that business from nothing. Late nights, cold coffee, clients who canceled twice and paid once. I'm good at my job. I make other people's houses feel like home. My mother-in-law, Diane, has never once asked to see my portfolio. What she has done every year since Ryan and I got married is decide who's cooking, who's cleaning, and who's smiling in the family photo she posts every December. Like proof that everything in this family is fine. Last year, it was small things. A pie here, setting the table there. This year, apparently, it was everything. My house, my kitchen, my holidays. Signed, sealed, and announced before I ever said yes. I looked at Ryan across that table, waiting for him to say something. He just reached for the cranberry sauce and passed it down like nothing had happened. That was the moment I decided to open the email. I didn't open it right there at the table. I waited until we were home, until Ryan was in the shower and the house had gone quiet except for the dishwasher humming through its last cycle. I sat down at the kitchen island, the one I'd styled myself with reclaimed wood and a single row of copper pots. And I opened my laptop. The subject line read, "Offer of Representation, the Ashcroft Design Group, New York." I'd sent them a portfolio back in September, on a whim, at 11 at night, after a long day of steaming other people's throw pillows. Ashcroft doesn't just style homes. They style hotel lobbies, boutique restaurants, entire buildings going up in Manhattan. I never told Ryan I'd applied, because I didn't think it would go anywhere. I didn't think a woman running a business out of a spare bedroom in Columbus had a real shot at a firm like that. They wanted me, full creative lead on 3 properties, relocation covered, a salary that made me read the number twice. I sat there with my hand over my mouth for a long minute, and honestly, the first thing I felt wasn't joy. It was grief. Grief for every year I'd spent making Diane's holidays perfect while quietly shrinking my own dreams to fit inside her expectations. Because here's what you need to understand about my mother-in-law. It didn't start with Thanksgiving, it started small, years ago. The first Christmas Ryan and I hosted, she showed up 2 hours early, rearranged my centerpiece, and told the room, laughing, that I just needed a little guidance since I was new to this. I let it go. Then it was Easter, then the 4th of July, when she brought her own folding tables because, she said, she wasn't sure mine would hold up. Then it was every single holiday, one by one, quietly absorbed into her calendar, my kitchen slowly becoming her stage, my labor becoming her tradition to take credit for. I used to tell myself it was just how families worked, that every daughter-in-law does the heavy lifting eventually. But somewhere between the pie crusts and the seating charts, I stopped being a partner and started being staff. Ryan never saw it, not really. He loves his mother the way sons often do, without noticing the weight she puts on other people to stay comfortable. When I'd mention it, gently, he'd say, "That's just how mom is, she means well." And maybe she did, but meaning well and costing someone their whole life are not opposites. Sometimes they're the same thing, wearing a nicer coat. I closed the laptop that night without replying to Ashcroft. Not because I didn't want it, because for the first time in 6 years, I wanted something just for myself. And I needed one quiet night to hold it close before anyone else got the chance to make it theirs too. Ryan came out of the shower, kissed the top of my head, and asked what was wrong. I told him nothing. I told him I was just tired. That was the last lie I ever told in that house. 3 weeks passed before I told anyone about Ashcroft, and Diane did not slow down. If anything, she sped up, sensing something slipping, wanting to lock it down before it moved. It started with a phone call I overheard from the next room. Diane, telling her sister I'd already agreed to host every holiday going forward, wasn't that generous of me. I stood in the hallway with a laundry basket on my hip, listening to her describe my life like she'd written the script herself. Then came the group text. Diane had made one titled Family Holidays and added 12 people before I even knew it existed. The pinned message read, "Emily's hosting everyone from now on. Mark your calendars. Isn't she just the sweetest?" I read that standing in my own kitchen. The kitchen Diane had just informed 12 people belonged to her holiday plans now. And something in my chest went very still. The way water goes still right before it freezes. The following Sunday, Ryan's Aunt Carol called to ask what time to arrive for Easter, 5 months out, because Diane had already sent a schedule. A printed schedule, color-coded, my address at the top, like a venue for rent. Carol thanked me twice for being, in her words, such a trooper. I hadn't seen this schedule. Nobody had shown it to me. I found out about my own home's future from a woman who calls twice a year. That night, I finally told Ryan about Ashcroft. I sat him at the kitchen island, opened the laptop, and showed him the offer. The deadline 2 weeks away. His face went pale in a way I hadn't seen since his father's surgery. "New York," he said. "That's a big move." "It is," I said. "What about here?" he said. "What about Mom's holidays? What about everything we've built?" And there it was. Not what about you, not what about your work, not even what about us. In one sentence, without meaning to, my husband told me exactly where I ranked in the architecture of this family. Right below the good china and just above the folding chairs. I didn't yell at him. I wasn't angry yet, more like I was watching something I'd already suspected finally step into the light where I could see its whole shape. "I need you to hear me," I told him. "I have spent 6 years making this family's holidays beautiful, while slowly disappearing from my own life. I am not asking permission. I am telling you what I am considering, because you are my husband, and I love you, and I still want you standing beside me, no matter what I choose." He didn't answer that night. He just sat staring at the offer letter, like it was written in a language he'd never learned, one he suddenly needed and had never studied. I went to bed alone in a house that 12 people now believed was Diane's. And I lay there in the dark with Grandma Ruth's old sewing box on my dresser, the one thing that had only ever belonged to me. And I made a decision I hadn't fully admitted to myself yet. I was going to say yes. The Family Holidays group chat picked the date for me. Diane scheduled a dinner for Sunday, calling it a planning meeting so everyone could get on the same page. 12 people confirmed. I made the chicken because I always make the chicken, and because I wanted my last meal in that dining room to taste like something I chose, not something I owed. I signed the Ashcroft contract Thursday night, alone at the kitchen island, the same seat where Ryan had first learned the word New York. I emailed my acceptance at 11 p.m. and sat there afterward, feeling the whole shape of my life shift underneath me like a floor settling into a new foundation. Ryan came around slowly that week. Not all at once, not with some big speech, just small things. He started asking about Manhattan neighborhoods. He looked up moving companies without me asking. 3 nights before the dinner, he said, "I don't want to lose you over my mother's guest list. I want to come with you." That was the moment I finally believed we were going to be okay. Sunday came. The dining room filled up the way it always did. Diane at the head of the table in her good earrings, the printed schedule beside my plate like a menu I hadn't ordered. She stood before dessert, tapped her glass, and announced that Emily had graciously agreed to handle every holiday going forward. Wasn't that wonderful? Wasn't I the best kind of daughter-in-law a family could ask for? Everyone clapped. Then I stood up too. I told them about Ashcroft, New York, the contract I'd signed, the movers already booked, the apartment Ryan and I had put a deposit on that morning. I told them we were leaving in 3 weeks. The room went quiet, the way rooms do when the story everyone agreed on stops being true. Diane's face did something I'd never seen it do. Surprise breaking through her composure like a crack spreading across good china. "Sit down, Emily," she said. Soft at first, then sharper. "Sit down." I didn't sit down. "Mom," I said, kindly, because I did still love her, "I have spent 6 years building your holidays and shrinking my own life to fit inside them. I am not doing that anymore. I would love for you to be part of what comes next, but it has to be an invitation now, not an assignment." Nobody clapped that time, but nobody argued either. Carol reached over and squeezed my hand under the table. We left for New York 3 weeks later, exactly on schedule. Diane didn't come to see us off, but she called 2 weeks after we landed, her voice smaller than I'd ever heard it, and asked if she could visit for Christmas as a guest this time, not a planner. I said yes. She flew out that December. I didn't cook the meal alone. She helped me, standing beside me at my new counter instead of behind me, giving directions. It wasn't perfect. It was better than perfect. It was honest. These days, my name is on the door of a firm that once felt impossible. In a city I built for myself. In a life nobody signed me up for. I got here by finally saying the only word that ever mattered, no.